Hi, welcome to Technology Road Mapping, episode number 2. I'm going to be talking about the technology decision-making formula and how you can actually calculate your true costs. Stay tuned.
Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your skills to the next level? Maybe start an online division of your business? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Technology Road Mapping, connecting the pieces of online and automation technologies for your business success. With your host, the business technology implementer, tech to entrepreneur translator, online sales, and marketing strategist herself, Jennifer Neal.
Welcome to Technology Road Mapping. Here we're going to be talking about the technology decision-making formula. This is a formula I've come up with to help you in actually calculating your true real costs. So I know when you're looking at new possible solutions, so you've already done your homework, like from Roadmap 1, where we did in episode 1, reference that one if you haven't tried it yet. And when you're looking at different alternatives and different possibilities and other things that you can introduce into your business that will ultimately help you reach your end goal. What are the true costs of those things? So a lot of times I know we're guilty of looking at, well, this one costs this amount of money and this one costs this amount of money. And we stop there. But really, there's a whole lot of other things that come into what our decision should be made from. And I know that it can be scary, even for those of us that are seasoned, because sometimes the investment can be pretty big, or sometimes the learning curve can be pretty big. And it's also, I almost think it's kind of like choosing, oh, well, who am I going to marry my business to? Am I going to be stuck with this software forever? And that's something that you do want to look at too. So we're going to kind of walk through where the landmines are and sort of how to negotiate around those things. And then I'm going to give you an actual formula that you can use to sort of calculate out what your actual costs are going to be. So let's dig in. Let's say that you are looking at adding a new piece into your business, and let's just use the same scenario that we used in episode 1. And let's talk specifically about webinars. I know that's kind of a common thing. Some people do them, some people don't, but it's a good sort of ground base that we can use here as our example while we're talking through how to work through this scenario. So there are so many webinar technologies out there that And here's the thing, is every single one of them lets you hold a webinar. You're going to get your end goal, right? The question is all of the kind of details in between. And so if you have no idea where to start, then I recommend kind of a multi-fold approach. So 1, you're going to go in, you're going to type in webinar hosting software into Google, and you're going to find out what the Google says and look at the top 5 options. Just kind of open up, glance, get familiar with the names. Just start there, okay? Then ask your friends, ask other business people that you know. What softwares are they using? Ask any technology people that you're using. Ask for different opinions. You will get, opinions are like how that saying goes. But you will get a whole lot of other options that you may not have even found in your Google research. And my recommendation is kind of put together a list of 5 to 8, okay? Then look at what are the core technologies that you're already using, and do these pieces integrate easily? Do they integrate, period? Do they integrate easily as a secondary driver? So you want to know, okay, so let's talk about, we're just going to take our example. Our example was webinars. So let's say we're talking about Zoom and we're talking about GoToWebinar, and we will put in any meeting. Okay. So let's put those in. And the big thing that you want all of these things to integrate with is going to be your CRM software, because that is the heart of your business. That's where all of the data about all of your contacts, your prospects, everything is at, right? So you want to make sure that that information is going to connect with the webinar software that you choose, right? Kind of makes sense. So for us, in our example, this one's pretty easy because it is our example we were using Infusionsoft. So Infusionsoft natively connects with any meeting. And Infusionsoft can connect pretty easily using Plus This to, Zoom and GoToWebinar. So we just want to make sure that now if you also had some other ones on there, let's say like Stealth Seminar, that one's a good one. That one can connect to Infusionsoft, but it's also designed more for like evergreen or repeatable type webinars. So that software isn't necessarily what we need for our current live one, right? So look at how you're going to be using it and how does it connect. So how we're going to be using it. This is where I say narrow down your list to like pick your top 5 or your top 3. Top 3 is better, but if you can't narrow down yet at that point, that's totally okay. So take your top 5 and actually column them out, okay? We're going to look at do they connect to your software and how easily does it connect? And then we're going to, you're going to look at the prices. So go ahead and mark down what the price points are because that will be a factor. And now we're also going to look at, do you already know how to use this? Or do you need some other help? So this is what I call the driver. I know, car analogy, right? Okay, so the driver is you. If this is a learning curve for you, if you are the one actually hosting and putting on the webinar and you need to learn this software, can you do it? So see if a friend has it, if you can borrow their login. See if you can do a test online demo with your top 3. Go through and actually spend a little bit of time looking at what makes sense for you, okay? How does it feel comfort-wise? And if you think that you're going to need to go through, how long does it take for you to pick up new things? How many practice sessions are you going to need to do before you do this if you don't already know how to use it? So you're actually going to want to record what you think your time investment is going to be to use this new software. Okay, we also want to look at the actual vehicle itself, or the car. So with that, not only are we going to look at cost, but we're also going to look at how are you wanting to use it. So let's say our 3 that we're just looking at here. GoToWebinar, they have their own sign up webinar registration page. You can't really customize it. It's still sort of GoToWebinar branded. If that doesn't matter that much, you can use their registration page, or you could take it to the next level and integrate it into your own page. Again, look at the costs of like, do you already know how to do that, or do you have a team that already knows how to do that? And then in terms of how the meetings are actually held. Now, I personally do much better when I'm talking to real live people and I can see expressions on people's faces and I can say, hey, you're not paying attention to me and call somebody out. I like personal interaction. I engage better. So for me personally, I like Zoom for my webinar platform because with that one, I can see all their little faces. Now you can do that also with GoToWebinar. The learning curve for somebody to turn on their camera is a little higher than Zoom where it's automatically integrated. So those are the things that I recommend trying to do a demo or play with it and at least just play with your top 3 for a good 10 minutes just to kind of play around, see where the tools are, how you like it, and does it give you the interface that you want? Are you a kind of person that likes to whiteboard or do polls or put up different types of quizzes, or flash a link on the page? Or do you really just want to sit and talk and show some slides? Those are all things that you want to look at, how you're going to use your software and which is going to be the best fit. Not only for your current scenario, but also, do you see yourself using this in the future, or is this going to be a one-time investment? Because a lot of these things, they cost a lot annually or monthly, and you need to invest to get everything integrated with your system. So is it going to be something that's going to carry you for a while? And I say a while because it's not going to carry you forever. I guarantee you, at some point you'll say, meh, I'm done with that. Time to move on to a new, shiny, bright, something new that's just come out. So don't think that you're going to be married to this forever, that you're not engaging your business in something you can't get out of. This is business, these are tools, and they do become recyclable. So that's the vehicle. We've looked at your time. Okay, now we have the crew. See? The crew is going to be the staff, the resources, the people that you are paying, and that may be somebody on staff, that may be a subcontractor, that may be somebody on Fiverr, who knows? But what you want to look at is, what's your cost going to be to make that connection and set up, like for us, we're talking about webinars, so to set up your webinar and make that connection to your CRM software. And if you're just getting ready to hire, I do have some hiring practices. I will talk about that on another episode, but it does involve actually duplicating your process and trying out several different people so you can find the right fit. But if you are looking at hiring somebody, it's your cash out of pocket. And if you're doing an estimate, take the estimate of the cash out of pocket and multiply that by 1.5. So we're going to put into your spreadsheet that you're keeping track of, you're going to keep, here's your actual cash out of pocket, and you're going to look at what's your time out of pocket. Like, what's the time to, this is the race, this is the end, right? So here is the kind of the final piece, right? So normally, when you are engaging in any kind of a scenario here, the ultimate end goal is something revenue producing, or something that's leading toward something revenue producing, like a new opt-in or a summit or like something like that you're doing, right? So the race, as I call it, is really the time to delivery. And that is calculated by not only the staff that you're looking at hiring, but also you. I know in my business, I'm the biggest bottleneck, promise, guarantee it. So anytime that I can avoid my own bottleneck, it's worth more to me. So I want to look at, what is my cost to not getting this to the end goal, right? To getting to the finish line, that race end. How long is it going to take me to get there with these different scenarios? So we definitely want to pay attention, because if you are ultimately getting to a revenue point and something that's good enough and can get you there 2 weeks earlier than something else, that's 2 weeks worth of sales that you could be having. We want to look at what that difference is, right? You definitely need to calculate that in to your entire calculation. So we have our driver, we have the crew, we have the vehicle, and we have the race. And the way that we know what our race calculations are is we want to know what your forecast is. So that forecast could be new followers. It could be new page likes. It could be your revenue. It could be number of people on your list. Whatever your outcome is, you want to make sure that you're tying that into the equation. So now let's get into the actual equation because we've kind of talked about what each of the different pieces are. And so I'm going to give you this equation and we will walk through it together, and guaranteed it is just a guideline. Okay. It's just a way of getting you to think, oh, here's all the different costs that I may not have factored in. Okay. Here we go. So I do have my cheat sheet here because this equation is a little bit difficult. And we will go through this together and we'll make sure that it works. So our actual scenario here. So the actual cost of bringing on a new technology equals the cost of the vehicle or the actual software. So we're going to start right off with what your fee is. Then we're going to add the driver time. Only we're going to modify the driver time because we're going to look at what are the hours that you are planning on spending, that it's going to take you to work on. So if on one hand, you had a support staff who hooked the whole thing up and set up the webinar and did all the registration, and on the day of the webinar, they went in and they launched it, and all you had to do was get on and talk and do your thing. That is a minimal investment. That is maybe a half an hour for a quick run through with your staff and you're good, right? Or on the flip side of that, if it's something that you think I'll just set up, and if you're just getting started, maybe that's where you are. So maybe you would rather spend time than money to do it, and that's perfectly fine. So if you are investing your time, I want you to calculate, again, your research time, your training time, your setup time, and then your actual implementation time. And you are going to take all of that time that you've estimated, multiply it by 1.25, because guaranteed you're going to underestimate how much time you think it's going to take you. And then you're going to multiply that number by 2 times the cost of the highest person that you pay. So if the highest hourly rate that you pay somebody is $25 an hour, you're going to take 25 times 2, that's 50. And you've estimated that you're going to spend 2 hours doing this. So 2, and we're going to bump that up. So 2.25 times 50. So then that's the number that you're going to put in for an estimation of the cost of your time. Because remember, it's your business and you are more valuable doing the things that you started this business for. So it makes more sense for you to be spending time doing that. And when you take time away and you're doing technology things, which is totally fine for a lot of people, but that still becomes a cost that you need to make sure you're calculating in, because you would be paying yourself anyway, right? Okay. Then we are going to add in the cost of the crew, okay? The crew, you have already figured out, you're going to take their estimations, multiply them by 1.5, and whatever your rate is. Maybe that's a flat rate, maybe hourly, whatever. So you're going to have your actual cost number. So you're going to add that in here. Then you are going to look at the time. So let's look at your forecast. Your forecast of what your revenue is going to be once this thing gets launched. That's generally the number that you're going to want to go for. Again, if you're doing number of people on your list, if you're doing subscribers, if you're doing likes, those kinds of things. Ultimately, what you want to be able to do, and this gets kind of into lifetime customer value, which we can go over another time, but you should know essentially, even if it's an average or a ballpark that you're throwing out right now, what one new customer means to your bottom line. And that's something that you should be able to have in mind. If you're selling, a coaching program, then every new customer, lifetime value, probably worth, honestly, it depends on your coaching programs, but somewhere around maybe $5,000. Okay. Much higher, much lower. I'm seriously just ballparking right now. If you are selling kind of some widgets or some courses, maybe the average course intake that somebody takes is 2 courses. And let's say you charge $250 for each course. So that's $500 as an average lifetime value. And if you are looking at what your estimations are going to be, and you know, okay, when I do this, my goal is I'm going to have 100 people register for my webinar. Now, the show up rates to webinars are generally about 30% on average. You may be higher, you may be lower. It all depends on your topic, your audience, and your intro and follow-up. There's a whole bunch of things. But on average, if you're crunching the numbers, okay, I have 100 people, and I know that 30 of them are going to show up, and out of that, 20% of those are likely to buy my offer. Okay, so of that offer, then you know that you're also going to be following up with the people who didn't show up or the people that did show up and didn't buy. So that revenue number is going to continue. And it should continue kind of consistently. So when you are looking at your projections, your projection numbers, then what are you expecting in terms of your bottom line? And if you're just talking about, okay, I want another 100 people on my list, great. 100 people on your list, what's your normal conversion rate? 20%? Possibly. So take that 20%, multiply it by your lifetime customer value, and lifetime customer value of $100, let's just say, so I can try to maybe do the math. 100 people on your list, 20% conversion is 20 times 100. That is $2,000. Okay, so you want to take your forecast, and then you are going to figure out if this doesn't happen for a week, if this doesn't happen for a month, if this doesn't happen for 3 months, what is my loss of that forecast? So you actually want to put the numbers out and say, here's what I'm projecting. And when this doesn't happen, here's how much money I will be losing. So you want to subtract that total number, your forecast times the actual race, and that gives you an idea of your actual cost in total. So there you have it. It may not be a perfect formula, it may not be super easy, but you have taken your spreadsheet, your top 5, your top 3, and you've already gone through and calculated out some of these numbers. So I suggest that you run each of those top 3 or top 5 through this formula, and then play the what if game. So what if your time investment was more? Or what if you paid somebody else more? What if you waited for an additional month? Or what if you just paid somebody more and you got it done quicker? What do those numbers come out like for you? That is going to help you to determine how you're going to approach a new technology decision and which new tool or software that you actually want to invest in that's going to help you get around that track and get to the finish line. It's easy when you just break it down into little steps, tiny bits at a time, and do not, please, I know I'm telling you to go out and do some research and write some things out, but do not get into the overload of, oh my gosh, I have to go through and compare all of these things, and don't spend a whole lot of time on it. Seriously, don't spend like more than an hour doing all these research stuff. And that even should include your demos, because you should be able to see a demo, get on somebody's account or call up. I mean, I'll tell you what, salespeople are really on top of it when you're like, I'm interested in your software. So they will do a quick demo for you. Make your investment of checking this stuff out thorough, But don't spend weeks and days and months. That's where you lose the time, and that's where you miss getting to that end, right? Getting to that final goal. So ultimately, you're in business to make money. I know we all have bigger whys, but really the whys happen because of the money. So what are you going to do to get there? And how quickly are you going to get there? And does it make sense to delay a little bit more and save your time where you can be off working on something else and somebody else is doing the implementation for you? Or maybe it makes more sense for you to get involved, figure it out, and get it done, right? Whatever that equation works out for you, that's where you want to be. And I guarantee that this same equation is going to be different for you now than it is for you in 6 months, than it is for you in 2 years. It will always be different, but this gives you the guideline to be able to approach these decisions without getting stuck in the overwhelm of comparison, and to be able to confidently make a decision that you know this is going to help my business right now, and it should help my business into the near future. That's all you need. Go with that, and you will absolutely be a winner. I guarantee it. All right, next week, join me again on Friday, and until then, keep on teching.
Thanks so much for listening to Technology Road Mapping with your host, Jennifer Neal. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit formuladone.com, formuladone.com/roadmap, and on Twitter and Facebook @FormulaDone. We'll catch you next time.